My parents humiliated me with a gym membership while my sister got a house. Then I cut them off and watched world fall down. Parents gave my sister a new house for graduation. Then I got my present. It's a gym membership, they said. I got angry and left. 1 month later, my sister lost the house in a casino. Graduation day was supposed to be a celebration. Barbara and I had both graduated from college, and our parents had gathered the family for a big dinner. I expected a speech, maybe some sentimental nonsense about how proud they were. What I did not expect was for them to turn to Barbara with big smiles and say, "We got you a house." A house, a brand new house, fully paid for, worth $120,000. The whole room erupted in applause as she gasped and put her hands over her mouth, pretending to be surprised, even though I was sure she knew. She always knew. My father turned to me, and I felt the moment stretch. My heart was pounding, because surely, they had something planned for me. Maybe not a house, but something that said I was important. "And for you, Tom," my mother smiled, prolonging the moment. "It's a gym membership." For a second I thought I had misheard. But no, they were serious. I looked around the room, waiting for someone to say something. But then Barbara burst out laughing, then my dad, then my cousins. Soon, most of the table was laughing like it was the funniest joke in the world. I felt something inside me crack. I pushed back my chair, stood up, and said, "Are you kidding me?" That only made them laugh, harder. Barbara wiped a fake tear from her eye. "Come on, Tom, do not be so dramatic." I looked at my parents. They gave her a house, and gave me what? A hint that I should lose weight? My mom sighed, as if I was embarrassing her. "It's for your health, Tom, you should be grateful." Barbara leaned back in her chair and smiled. "Yes, Tom, maybe if you go to the gym you will earn yourself a house someday." That was it. I turned to my uncle, the only one who was not laughing. He shook his head slightly, as if he could not believe what he was seeing. I grabbed my coat, looked at my parents, and said, "You know what? Keep your gym membership." Then I looked at Barbara. "Enjoy your house while it lasts." And I walked out. I made a decision that night. I was done living under her roof. I had saved enough to get my own place. It would not be fancy, but it would be mine. 1 month passed. I moved into my apartment and cut off contact with them. Barbara spent those weeks throwing parties at her new house and calling me sometimes, just to rub it in. "Hey, how is the apartment? Must be so cute and tiny." Then one night, my phone buzzed. Barbara. I ignored it. She called again, then my mom called, then my dad. Finally, I picked up the phone, and my mom's voice was desperate. Barbara had lost the house. Lost it! I thought maybe she had been robbed or had some kind of disaster, but no, she had lost it in a casino. She had this brilliant idea of doubling her money. She did not tell anyone, just went into a high-stakes game and kept betting until she had nothing left. She did not just lose her life savings. She literally signed over the house as collateral for a massive bet, and lost. Just like that, it was gone. I almost laughed, not out of cruelty, but because it was so absurd. My father said, "We need your help." I knew where this was going. "She is homeless now. We need you to help us pay her rent until we get this straightened out." I hung up. The next day, Barbara showed up at my apartment. She was not laughing anymore. She stood in the hallway looking miserable and said she had nowhere else to go. I reminded her that she had a gym membership. She kept coming back every day, knocking on my door, begging. My parents kept calling, pressuring me, making it seem like it was my responsibility. "You are her brother. Family takes care of family." I asked them where that attitude was when they gave her a house and gave me a glorified voucher. Things escalated. My dad started telling relatives that I was selfish. My mother cried that I was making my own sister suffer. But my uncle, the only sane person in the family, stepped in. He told my parents to back off. He told Barbara to deal with her own mess. He made it clear that if they did not leave me alone, he would make sure everyone in the extended family knew exactly how they were treating me. My father hated that. He stormed off, but they eventually stopped calling me. Barbara finally found an apartment. Not a house, just a tiny apartment. She had to get a second job to afford it. Last week, she called again, acting all nice, asking if we could have lunch. I told her I was busy. I guess she finally realized that if you spend your whole life laughing at someone, they will not feel bad when you lose. A few weeks went by, and I thought things had finally calmed down. No more calls from my parents. No more knocks on my door from Barbara. I was enjoying the peace. Then one night I came home from work, and as I walked up to my apartment building, I saw someone sitting on the stoop. It was Barbara. She looked terrible. Her usually perfect hair was a mess, and her expensive clothes were wrinkled, as if she had slept in them. She got up when she saw me. "I have nowhere to go," she said. I sighed. "Not my problem." She followed me up the stairs. "Come on, Tom, just for a few nights." "No." She grabbed my arm. "Please." I shook her off and unlocked my door. "You have friends, go to them." She hesitated. Then in a low voice she said, "They will not return my calls." That made me pause. Barbara had always surrounded herself with people, but now I realized they were not real friends. They were there for the party, the free drinks, the fancy house. Now that she had nothing, they were gone. But that was not my problem. I went inside and closed the door. The next morning, she was still there, sitting in front of my building, wrapped in a thin jacket, looking miserable. I ignored her and went to work. That night, she was gone. I thought that was the end of it. But then, strange things began to happen. One night, I went to get food out of the fridge and noticed that things were missing. Just little things at first. A soda I swore I had not drunk. A box of instant noodles, gone. Then one day, my leftovers from last night's dinner were gone. I lived alone. I started paying attention. I checked the locks. Everything seemed normal. But then I noticed something strange. The window in my tiny laundry room, the one I never opened, was not locked. I had a bad feeling that night. I set up my cell phone to record the kitchen. The next morning, I reviewed the footage. At 2 a.m., the laundry room window slid open, and Barbara climbed in. I stared at the screen in shock. She crept into the kitchen, opened my refrigerator, and started eating. Then she grabbed a blanket from my closet, curled up on the floor, and went to sleep. She had been sneaking in for days. I confronted her that night. She denied it at first, but when I showed her the video, she broke down. She'd been sleeping in her car, too ashamed to ask our parents for more help. She said she was desperate. I told her she had 1 hour to get her things and leave. She left. But my parents found out. They were furious. My dad called and yelled at me for being a heartless, selfish brother. My mom said I was cruel for letting my own sister sleep on the street. I told them I was not the one who gambled away her house. A few days later, I got a call from my uncle. He was not surprised. He told me something I did not know. My parents had given Barbara everything since we were kids. When she wrecked her first car, they bought her another without a second thought. When she failed college courses, they paid someone to tutor her. Every mistake she made, they covered for her. "She has never had any consequences, Tom," he said. "Maybe it is time she learned." Then came the biggest surprise of all. Barbara was arrested. It turned out that she had gotten desperate enough to try to steal from a store. She got caught. My parents bailed her out, of course, and instead of blaming her, they blamed me. They said that if I had just helped her, she would not have been forced to steal. That was it. I was done. I blocked them all. Months went by. I got a promotion at work, moved to a better apartment, and finally felt free. I heard bits and pieces through my uncle. Barbara was struggling. My parents still made excuses for her, but they had finally stopped bothering me. Then one day, I got a text from an unknown number. "I am sorry. Barbara." I did not reply. Sometimes people only realize what they had when they lose it all. A few months went by, and life was finally quiet. No more phone calls, no more guilt trips. Barbara was working 2 jobs to afford her tiny apartment, and my parents had stopped trying to blame me for their mess. Or so I thought. One night, I came home to find Barbara sitting on the steps outside my apartment building. She looked unkempt, her hair a mess, dark circles under her eyes. She was scrolling through her phone, pretending she was not waiting for me. I sighed. "What do you want?" She stood and brushed herself off. "I just need to talk." I did not answer, just unlocked my door and stepped inside. She followed. "Look, I know I messed up," she said, pacing my living room. "I was stupid. I get it, but I cannot do this anymore, Tom. I cannot work 2 jobs. I cannot live in this shoebox of an apartment. So what? You want me to pay for a bigger place for you?" She hesitated. "No, I mean, I do not know. I think I should move back home." I laughed, a full, genuine laugh. "Great. Go tell Mom and Dad. I am sure they will welcome their golden child back with open arms." She folded her arms. I did. They said no. That took me by surprise. She sighed and sat down on my couch, rubbing her temples. They said they did not have the space. They did not want me bringing my bad choices into their home. Mom literally said, "You had a house and you lost it, so figure it out." I stared at her. "You mean the same people who begged me to help you? The same people who called me selfish?" She nodded. "Yes. As soon as they realized that bailing me out was not an option, they dropped me." For a moment, I almost felt bad. Almost. Then she looked at me. I was hoping maybe I could stay here for a while just until I got back on my feet. I did not even hesitate. "No." Her jaw clenched. "Come on, Tom. I would not be here if I had other options." "You had options," I said. "You had a house. You could have lived comfortably for years, but you laughed at me, rubbed it in my face, and gambled it away like an idiot. And now that Mom and Dad will not help you, you suddenly remember I exist." Her face contorted in frustration. "You do not have to be such a jerk about it." "Yes, I do," I shot back. "Because you would never have done that for me if the roles were reversed. You would be laughing about this." She looked away, her jaw clenched. She knew I was right. After a few moments of silence, she stood up. "Fine, I will think of something else." She stormed for the door. "But do not act like you are better than me. You think just because you have a crappy little apartment you are on top of the world? Newsflash, Tom, Mom and Dad do not care about you either. They only tolerate you because you are not a burden." She slammed the door behind her. I thought that was the end of it, but the next day I got a call from my mother. "Tom, what did you say to your sister? She called us crying." I laughed. She showed up at my house expecting me to fix her life. I told her no. Mom sighed dramatically. "Tom, she is your sister. You need to be there for her. You were not there for her. Why should I be?" There was a long pause. "This is not about us. It is about family." I cut her off. "Oh, now it is about family? Where was that energy when you were giving out houses?" She started to say something, but I hung up. The real chaos began a few days later. Barbara, apparently having decided that I was not going to help her, had gone back to our parents' house anyway. She showed up unannounced and demanded that they let her move back in. When they refused, things got ugly. She screamed at them, called them hypocrites, told them they had spent their whole lives coddling her, and now when she actually needed them, they were turning their backs on her. Then this was the part that shocked me. She told them they were terrible parents. My mother lost it. She screamed back that Barbara was ungrateful, that she had ruined everything they had given her, that she had embarrassed the family. My dad, who was usually the calmer one, told her that maybe it was time for her to learn to stand on her own 2 feet. Barbara did not take it well. She picked up a decorative vase from the table and threw it against the wall. It shattered. That was the last straw. My dad grabbed her arm and dragged her to the door, yelling that if she ever did anything like that again, she would never be welcome back. Barbara left, and somehow, instead of blaming her for her actions, my parents turned it on me. "If you just let her stay with you," my mom snapped over the phone later, "this would not have happened." I laughed. "Oh, so now she is my problem again? What happened to working it out? We are your parents, Tom. You should do what we tell you." I almost felt sorry for them. They had spent their whole lives playing favorites, shaping Barbara into someone who thought she could do no wrong. And now that it had backfired, they had no idea what to do with her. I told them I was done. I was not going to pay Barbara's rent. I was not going to fix her mistakes. I was not going to be part of their family drama anymore. That is when my uncle stepped in again. He called me that night. "You need to set some real limits, Tom. They are never going to stop until you do." I told him I already had. "Good, because if they keep this up, I am getting involved. I do not care if it ruins our family's reputation." I do not know exactly what he said to them, but after that, my parents stopped calling. Barbara stopped showing up. It was the quietest my life had been in years. Then, 1 week later, I got a text message from Barbara. "I hope you are happy. You got what you wanted." I did not reply, because honestly, yes, I was happy. Things were peaceful for a while. No more phone calls, no more guilt trips, no more Barbara showing up at my door, looking for a way out. I thought maybe they had finally learned their lesson. I should have known better. It started with a message from my father, just a casual, "Hey, call me when you get a chance." I ignored it. I knew that nothing good ever came from those messages. A few hours later, my mom called. I let it go to voicemail. Then Barbara called. I was tempted to answer just to see what ridiculous requests she had this time, but I did not. The next morning, I woke up to another message from my father. "We need to talk about something important. Call us." Against my better judgment, I finally called back. My mom picked up right away, her voice all sweet, like she was not about to ask for anything. "Tom, it has been so long since we talked. How are you?" I did not even give her a smile. "What do you want?" She sighed as if I was being unreasonable. "It is about Barbara." Of course it was. She hesitated before saying, "She is having trouble with the rent. She is really trying, but she can barely make ends meet. We thought—" I cut her off. "No." She got defensive. "You do not even know what I was going to say." "I do," I said. "You were going to ask me to help you pay her rent, and the answer is no." She huffed. "Tom, she is your sister. She is family. She just needs a little help until she gets back on her feet, like the house you gave her, but one she lost in a casino." There was a long pause before my father finally spoke. She made a mistake, but she is learning. We just need you to do a little bit. We will all pitch in. That made me laugh. Oh, really? How much are you two contributing? Silence. Then my mom said, well, we help in other ways. I knew what that meant. They did not give her a dime. So you want me to pay her rent while you do what exactly? Give her pep talks? My father's tone grew sharp. Do not be disrespectful, I scoffed. Oh, but it is not disrespectful to ask me to take care of your favorite child. Where was that generosity when I needed help? My mother sighed as if she were the victim here. Tom, it is not about that. You have a good job, you have stability. Barbara does not. That is not my problem. That is when Barbara jumped into the conversation. I did not even know she was on the line. Jesus, Tom, will you ever stop being bitter? She snapped. I laughed. Oh, sorry. Am I supposed to just forget how you treated me? You are acting like I personally stole from you, she shot back. I made a bad choice, okay? But you have a good life. You can afford to help me. Just because I can does not mean I will. She groaned. You are so selfish. Am I? I said. Where was that energy when you were making fun of my cute little apartment? Silence. Then she tried another angle. Fine, whatever. If you will not help me, at least lend me some money. I will pay you back. I laughed again. No, you will not. You do not even pay your own rent, she snapped. You are unbelievable. You are acting like a petty child. You would rather see me struggle than help your own sister. I did not even hesitate. Yep, my dad lost it. Tom, enough. We raised you better than this. That pissed me off. No, you did not. You raised me to be the backup plan. And guess what? I quit. I hung up. Over the next few days, they kept calling. Sometimes it was my mom, sometimes my dad, sometimes Barbara. I ignored each one. Then my uncle called. They say you are refusing to help Barbara, that you are being cruel. I sighed. And what do you think? He chuckled. I think they are panicking because their golden child has finally run out of luck, and I think you are right to tell them no. That was all the confirmation I needed. The next day, I got a final text from Barbara. You are going to regret this. I blocked her number. I thought that was the end of it, but 1 week later, something happened that changed everything. 1 week after I blocked Barbara, I started getting strange mail. At first, I ignored it, but when I finally opened one of the letters, my stomach dropped. It was from a bank I did not recognize, about a loan I had never taken out. Someone had taken out a huge loan in my name. I checked the details, and there it was, my parents' home address. I drove straight to their house, not bothering to call ahead. My mom opened the door with a nervous smile. I held up the letter. Explain. She glanced at my dad. Tom, we were going to tell you. When? After I got sent to collections? My dad sighed. It is just a loan, Tom. We needed a little help with what? Paying for Barbara's mess? Barbara stood outside, arms crossed. You are overreacting. I almost laughed. You stole my identity, and I am the one overreacting. My mom grabbed my arm. We raised you. Do not you think you owe us something? That hit me. Owe you? My dad crossed his arms. You are acting selfish. We knew you would never help willingly. I pulled out my phone. You have 48 hours to fix this, or I call the cops. They panicked. 2 days later, the loan was paid off. I did not ask how. I locked down my credit, blocked their numbers, and cut them off for good. That was over 1 year ago. Now I live my own life. My credit is fine, my job is stable, and I do not waste a second thinking about them. Barbara, though, she is drowning in debt. My parents finally realize she is a burden, but instead of taking responsibility, they just complain. And now they call me, not to ask for money, at least not directly. They want me back, the good son, the stable one, the backup plan. I do not answer because I know the truth. They never wanted me. They just wanted what I could give them, and they are never getting anything from me again. Looking back on everything that happened, I still feel a mix of emotions that's hard to untangle. The humiliation from that graduation dinner cut deeper than I expected, like a confirmation of what I'd always suspected, that in my parents' eyes I was never quite good enough compared to Barbara. Getting a gym membership while she got a house wasn't just unfair. It felt like a public declaration that I was the problem child who needed fixing, and she was the prize. The laughter around the table, especially from her, still echoes in my head sometimes. It wasn't just embarrassment. It was the moment I realized love in our family came with conditions, and I'd never met theirs. When I walked out that night, anger carried me, but underneath it was this profound sadness. I wasn't just mad at the gift. I was grieving the parents I wished I had, the ones who would have been proud of me without needing me to be thinner, more successful, or more like my sister. Cutting them off wasn't easy. There were days I second-guessed myself, wondering if I was being too harsh. if family really was supposed to stick together no matter what. But every time Barbara rubbed her house in my face, or my parents dismissed my feelings, it reminded me why I had to protect myself. Watching everything collapse for them, Barbara losing the house, breaking into my apartment, getting arrested, and finally being turned away by our own parents, didn't bring the satisfaction I thought it might. There was no triumphant "I told you so" moment. Mostly, I felt empty. It was proof that their favoritism had created a monster they couldn't control anymore, and instead of owning it, they kept trying to drag me back into the mess as the scapegoat or the savior. The identity theft was the final betrayal. It wasn't just financial, it was them trying to take the one thing I'd built on my own, my independence. A year later, I'm not angry anymore. I'm free. I've built a life that's mine, a better job, a nicer place, real peace. I don't hate them. I pity them, actually. They spent decades pouring everything into Barbara, teaching her the world owed her something, and now they're stuck with the consequences while pushing away the son who actually stood on his own. I've learned that cutting toxic people out, even family, isn't cruel. It's survival. And for the first time, I feel truly proud of who I am, not because I proved them wrong, but because I finally stopped needing their approval to believe in myself.